Welcome to Temple Builders Carpentry. Temple Builders, we problem solvers. Temple Builders, safety first. Okay, Temple Builders, today we talking about the typical receptacle circuits or series receptacle circuit, all right? But before we do that, let's talk about wire diameter, okay? A wire diameter, or what's called gauge. Look right here, gauge. That's how you spell it, right? So I got 18, 16, 14, 12, 10, 8, and 6. All right, so in this setup right here, the higher the number, the higher the gauge is, the thinner the wire is, okay? The lower, right here in the case of 6, the lower number gauge it is, the thicker the wire is, okay? So let's start right here at the 18, okay? 18 gauge is gonna be ran with 7 amps, 24 volts. 18 gauge deals with bells, chimes, thermostats. 16 gauge, okay, it's gonna be ran with 10 amps, 24 volts. It's deal with low voltage, lighting, etc. Both of this 18 and 16 gauge is low voltage. Once we get to 14 gauge, that's common. That's what you're gonna see with your receptacles, okay? 14 gauge, you got a 15 amp circuit, right? 120 volts. You're dealing with receptacles, lights, some ACs. Let's go right here, 12 gauge. 12 gauge is gonna be rated for your 20 amps. 12 gauge is your 20 amps. Now 12 gauge is gonna be thicker wire than your 14 gauge. Okay, let's keep going. 12 gauge is 20 amps, 120 volts, possibly 240 volts. Receptacles, lights, and small appliances. 10 gauge, okay, 10 gauge is gonna go with your 30 amps. Okay, a 30 amp breaker, 30 amp circuit, right? 120 volts, 240 volts. This gonna equal your clothes dryers and your room ACs, okay? Like I said, the clothes dryer is gonna be pulling more amperage than, let's say, a regular 14 gauge, 15 amp circuit receptacle. All right, let's keep on going. 8 gauge, okay? It's gonna be rated for 40 amps, 240 volts. And the appliances you're gonna be dealing with is central ACs, electrical ranges, right? And right here we got a 6 gauge wire. It's gonna be rated for 55 amps, 240 volts, central ACs, electrical ranges, and furnaces, okay? Now come over here. Let's look at my drawing I got right here of a typical receptacle circuit, all right? Now, this right here is leading to your home run. What your home run means in electrical is, that's your power source. It's going back to your panel box, okay, where your breakers and things at, okay? So, of course, your panel box is supplying your electrical, your amperage, your voltage, okay, your electricity in your house, okay? So this run right here, your home run, comes into your box, okay, receptacle box. Now look right here, this is color coded. This is for, right, receptacles in your home, in residential. If we look over here, we see this says 14.2. What this means is, it's 14 gauge. Look over here, it's 14 gauge. It's rated for 15 amps, right? Receptacles, we know this, okay? So 14.2 means it's a 2-wire cable, okay? What it means by 2 wires is counting the black. This is a color code. The black is hot. Look right here, this is my white. The white is neutral. That's your 2 wires it's talking about when it says 14.2. The hot and the neutral. If you look right here, this brown wire, okay, I drew this brown to resemble copper, okay? So in your 14.2 cable, you're gonna have your black, which is hot, your white is neutral, and then your ground wire, which is gonna either be bare copper or green wire, okay? So that's what they mean by 14.2. 2 wires and a ground. 14.2, you got 14.3 as well. 14.3 will have 2 hots. One hot to be a red, the other hot to be a black, and then you'll have the neutral. So that's 3 wires, and you have the ground, okay? Remember, the ground's not counted, okay? So if you look right here, what we got here in this diagram, we're coming from the home run, coming up here, Okay, we get our neutral. You got your wire cap right here. This is called a pigtail. You pigtail your neutral, okay, right here. Okay, so you're gonna have one wire coming in here, over here to your receptacle. If you look right here, electricians talk about the silver and the gold, okay? We do know the long slot right here is for your neutral. The short slot is your hot slot, and right here is your ground. So this is your silver. Your white wire or your neutral is going to go to your silver terminal, okay? Look right here, I got my hot right here. It's going up into a wire cap. It's pigtail. It's what the pigtail is when you get wires, right? And you put the cap on there, you splice them you splicing them together, okay? So I need one that's gonna keep on going and traveling to my next receptacle, right? But anyway, let's go back right here. I got my hot and it's pigtail right here into my wire cap. Then it comes over right here into my gold terminal, all right? And let's look over here now. If you look right here, we got our same thing right here. Our ground is pigtail, okay? And we got one leg of our ground going to a screw terminal in our box, okay? Here goes the other ground coming from our home run going into here. And look right here, we got our ground coming and it's attaching to right here, our green terminal, okay, which is our ground, okay? And this is your typical receptacle setup, all right? I believe in a circuit, I'm not sure, you have to check it yourself, but I believe you can have up to 8 receptacles. If that's not correct, leave it in the comment section. But I believe it's up to 8 receptacles. Don't quote me on that, but okay, now we got all this pigtail. Okay, now we're gonna run from here to our next receptacle. So depending on how many receptacles we got in our circuit, let's say you got 5, it's gonna repeat this same pattern until it get all the way to your end receptacle. This is the end receptacle. This is how it's gonna look. Okay, it don't have as many wires as this one right here because this is where it's ending at. Coming out with your 14-2. Okay, you're gonna pigtail it. Pigtail your ground right here. And it's gonna come to, one leg is gonna come to your receptacle terminal screw right here for your ground. Boom, your ground going right here to your green. Neutral, same pattern, hot. Neutral, silver, hot, gold. You can also go by the slots. Long slot is on this side, your left side. Neutral, hot slot right there on your right side, gold, okay? Also, I want to talk about the GFCI. Your GFCI got something that says line and it has load, okay? Your line is your source power. Like I said, your line will be coming right here from your panel box. It should be your line. So you got your line, which is your source power coming here, and your load is supplying the rest of the receptacles. Okay? So your line is your source power. Your load is your traveling line was carrying your electricity downstream. Okay? So if you like this information, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, become my apprentice. Temple Builders.